I get that, it's still a lot of overthinking I think. We think one way until someone describes it different. Think of the reaction though. They wanted to kill him but he was well known and respected so they put him under house arrest. It's like they wanted progress to stop, like they were the resting center already and the descriptions fed the narrative. That fact that he was accurate was an inconvenience to the truth. If I seem like I'm playing along a bit it's because we discussed a lot of this in college. These kinds of conversations. I don't think anyone in that setting would disagree with you really, it's just an emphasis for interpretation I think. You're just kind of getting into it. Maybe. What would make us want to stop progress? We are back to appetite and deservation. Once people are on top they lack a stimulus for innovating. It's just human nature, we want to get there and then hold on to what we got. Plus interest, laugh. We build from there, retire, something for our kids. It's not as stark for us as people who have real power. I think part of that is just proving to others they're capable of it, kind of like you said, rationalizing process for the concept of deservation. I always think of red face as boredom seeking a compliment. Maybe leveraged boredom, seeking a compliment with interest. True. I saw him get upset that a South Korean movie won Best Picture. He wouldn't say the title and I thought that was of interest. What Parasite? Yeah, he preferred Gone with the Wind, and Sunset Boulevard he said, smile. You think there is something to it? The titles. What he's willing to remember. That's what I worry about they seem to hover around the interest towards ending things, experiencing as a concept the end of evolution. Finishing everything. It doesn't make sense on a human level somehow. Meaning. Now that we are human we should be able to observe as and experience the ending, measuring their opposition or something. Like somehow that is the leader to the fishing lines of our mental scope. I don't see a straight line from a speech and that they were famous movies back in his day. Let me try to pull this together before we fall off of a cliff. You're saying that. First let's get back to Beyond Appetite. Why would you assume in the first instance of time in a straight line forward, we would remember something like Beyond Appetite, or that Beyond Appetite was something we could experience as a sensational memory? It would likely be instantaneous, so having one then not having one, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know if we would be able to develop the idea of having an appetite if we weren't hungry. Think about being in the womb. The umbilical cord provided nutrition, we experienced expansive rotation, the sensation of unfolding features, external definition from the fluid we were in, the constants of equilibrium would be vitalized by the expansive sensation of our bodies with nutrient flow. So you're saying heaven is in the womb, that's what they mean by no more tears, no more hunger, no more lack of purpose. The experience of contrast for mind creates in them the opportunity for critical appreciation to be the analytical form of participation. Observation. They are reaching forward to the place by reaching backwards for the details or sensation. No more challenges, no more not knowing what to do. Like a zero-sum state but plugged in, being able to perceive the sensationally expansive flow of energy, without capacity even to participate. Laugh. That's why you don't like the word appreciation. It's like energy without process. Yes. That's interesting as a philosophy, there's not really any science to it. Could hurt some feelings. Why is that? I'll give you an example. I told you about the peddling tickets I got. I went in and didn't really even know what the charge was. I found I was in criminal court and they read it, and it was about asking for money on the street. All I did was give him the price because we let him pay on board. I told him he couldn't criminalize content. He wrote me a 30-day criminal citation for having a price on my brochure. When I talked to my attorney, I asked if it would help if I got a t-shirt with huge white lettering from a black color. My tour costs $109 for my court date. Maybe it would help the point. K. What did he say? S. She said it might offend the judge, better to let her present the argument. I couldn't imagine why an American judge would be offended by something like that, but I decided not to ask her. K. Crime and punishment. What are we talking about again? S. Well, accuracy for them seems to be like an offending instrument to truth. Resting center, centered equilibrium. Like we should respect inaccuracy, for the fear of offending some kind of preference to a former equilibrium of respectful people in agreement. K. You're just impatient with human processing. People get used to doing things one way. Transition is a bitch. I see what you're saying though. Steady state is energy without process. An equilibrium pitch like temperature is a transition, like adding one to a steady state collection or code performance. Everyone is susceptible, having to move, change apartments, rest and interruption. What about you? S. A steady state arrangement I think for volatile processing. Moving, it's not knowing the full arrangement of conditions. K. Like neighbors. S. People mostly. What the preferred motivation for complaint is. K. Like smoking. S. Yeah. Some of them want attention. That whole sordid drama of explanation, I'm busy and you're bored, here let me explain it to you so you can make it sound like an excuse. K. I still don't get the connection with the pedaling thing. S. Oh yeah. We are just climbing back out of a pothole or recess to what we already know will be the decision, but they're forcing me into the position of a criminal. Role-playing for what purpose? I don't mean the process, I just mean offense taken from the t-shirt. K. I can imagine some judges would and some wouldn't. I wouldn't make too much of it and I still can't see any parallel. You're too stoned. Too bad about your record. You could walk into a room with wings and a halo and they would assume you must have fooled someone somewhere. S. About to be found out, ain't no question about it. Laugh. It's like the church though with Galileo. It's like they want a formal apology for being right before they can receive the information as being truthful. K. It's a weak analogy but I get it. It's the same thing with Jesus and the priests, Tesla with Edison and Morgan. People invest their whole lives into something, someone else makes it seem suddenly obsolete. It's probably shocking. On a personal level we need to be sensitive to that. People's feelings. S. Yeah, but look how dangerous it is. Just that inclination to demand an explanation for knowing something is wrong they thought was right. Not just an explanation but a sacrifice. K. They are not exactly trying to hang you for peddling. S. It's not so much about what they are doing in terms of restraint, but exactly what they are capable in a wide context sort of thinking of getting away with. K. You're right to some extent. Without federal appellate oversight you might not get a fair shake in a municipal setting. The fact that it's true, if it was true or even is true, just shows that we need systems to curb human avarice, appetite, rationalized deservation. Oversight systems wouldn't exist if people didn't know already. S. So checks and balances. It's really artificial, isn't it? Trading encouraged deservational avarice for a eunuch. I don't think it was necessarily brilliance but just experience. These guys on the wrong side of a prejudice for human nature create a system that treats it like manageable symptoms of a recurring virus or illness. K. Quarantine. I like that thought. It wasn't just experience though. Plenty of people experienced repression. The thought was to take it over and be the ones on top. like pilgrims. It seems they hated persecution less than being persecution by the end of it. It took a long time. Egyptian god kings, Greek democracy, Roman representative republic. Israel, a king and judges and no public election. Sort of similar to the English baron systems, oligarchy, stabilizing influences. The American system divided the head in threes and protected the rights of themselves by protecting on paper the rights of others. The man whore Franklin seems like someone who could be genuinely admired. I don't know about the others. It's possible 3/5 these was meant to give a leaning outcome to something that couldn't be fixed by agreement. The fact that settlers here decimated local populations and instituted slavery, did everything they could to inhibit or prohibit black opportunity or even a recognition of their humanity. What a horrendous set of people. Imagine the spirits of Charles Manson or Donald Trump, running around with a whip and an inheritance and worse than that, laws to protect them. They found rationalizations for slavery in the Bible even after Moses. In England and Egypt there was no better life than a king's life. That wasn't true for the privileged lives of our founders. They were living as kings, some on massive plantations fueled by free labor. Creating a government that would stay out of their way was a better solution by then, than the troubles that come with a kingship. I think coming to the terms that our founders created the best possible system they could for themselves would be a great place to start. I read the Federalist Papers and much of the rest of it. They had the benefit of a lot of good thinking by then, like you said, and a lot of experience. Imagine being a mind with nothing for a body. What kind of thoughts would you have without sensation to provide ballast or orientation in the first place? The idea of place, things we think are God-given like private property, wouldn't make sense without location. Heaven even. What else is politically considered God-given? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. What would that mean to a mind without the senses? I would imagine if mind existed before sensation, it might create for the sake of isolating itself, the minute experience of mind and memory, maybe creating the opportunity to find a companion somehow. Mind without sensation. Satiation. Any thoughts on reparations? Just curious. What do you think? Smile. I would like to see free black colleges. I think that would be easier than just free tuition, but who knows without the experiment. I would hate to see it done as a government project. I would like to see inner cities resurfaced by ghetto-inspired artists. I'm white, so I think keeping to the surfaces might be the limits. It might provide more freedom for the mind to wander while walking to school or the store, a reason to go for a drive. I think there is an error in the confusion that black and white is the dividing line. It was a rationalized deservation with a majority. Good and bad are both expressions of a good intention, and the colors are limitless. The problem is the human tendency to lens the world in contrast. It's like biblical inerrancy, a ruminate logic from the depths of a faith that knows we're in a safe space of total accuracy. Some people moved here after slavery. It would be difficult to sort out liability for direct and indirect benefit. I grew up in a trailer park as a kid, was adopted by the mentality as an adolescent. Mind wouldn't be able to isolate itself, would it? Not completely by containment. I wonder about the story of Pinocchio sometimes in that context. What if mind without form created form, but cannot itself be distinct from anything?